And we're live. Welcome to Omi's production studio. And all of the materials and the research is now in. This is a very important topic that I would like to share with all of those who have. I would like to say for the record that I have some good news and some bad news. Some of you can benefit from this. As I told you that there were a lot of myths out there through the Indians Bureau of Association that indicated that everything. Get some things cleared here. I don't want people to go too far on and get discombobulated and find out in their effort to research and find our African selves. It brings us right back to one thing. And ladies and gentlemen, please let me say for the record, I am not affiliated with the bar. I am not a member of the bar. I am definitely not an agent, but I will tell you what I discovered for the benefit and safety of your own people. Some of you have completely thrown the baby out with the bath, and we have to look at things. Yes, we know that the Native American, they took us in as slaves and as some free slaves, but they also put us out on the road. Remember this, the so-called Native Americans that we're trying to align ourselves with, they put us out on the road, and we were put out without land or anything. It was the government that stepped in and made those Indian, those 5 civilized tribes. Do you know what made them civilized? It's because they worked against us and helped to find slaves and to enslave us. So they were no better, I would think, than the ones who put us in slavery. Why are we so anxious to become indigenous when in fact we got nothing for it? We were not even considered as pure-blooded Native Americans. They would not accept us then, and they're not going to accept us now. As a matter of fact, when they put us out on the road, there had to be treaties put in place in order to give us a little land. We never got the full benefit that they received, and they didn't intend to give it to us. And here we are prancing around trying to align ourselves with someone who put us out on the streets and enslaved us. And the five civilized indigenous people were the ones to help to keep us into slavery. Let's not forget that. So, are we going to get any of those benefits that they have? No, I don't think so. And how difficult would it be to build your own tribe? Very difficult. You might be able to go ask to be in one of the tribes' territory and be part of it, but that does not mean that you're entitled to any inheritance. Now, you must look at our skin. Isn't it Nubian black skin? And we're still connected to Africa, whether or not you want to believe it or not. We're descendants of those people in Africa. They're our brothers and our sisters. And I will continue to say that. And we must understand that our heritage came from Africa. No one has ever wanted us to connect to Africa. Not even when Marcus Garvey was planning a trip for us to return there. The Caucasians did everything in their power to prevent them from them going back or from us ever boarding that ship. What makes you think that all of the trick playing, that they wouldn't be playing a trick now? Look at the numbers on YouTube. Anyone that's talking about discovering your Aboriginals' indigenous heritage is getting the numbers plunging, going up, because they're trying to make everybody jump on the bandwagon who want to explore their genealogy and to find their native heritage. For what? What are we going to gain from it? I'm going to call some names out of those who are so insistent and saying that this is the right thing to do to give up Africa. Hell no. We're never going to give up Africa. Africa is on the rise up, and they're throwing those Caucasians off their land in South Africa. We have a chance to go to South Africa and support our brothers and sisters. They've already offered us some land. And when they offer the land, you get it. It's not like someone speaking with false and cheek and tongue here in America. We must understand we have nothing to gain by becoming indigenous people here. They're not going to do anything for you. What will it gain you? Tell me. There's a number of brothers out there being put down because they're trying to make us think. Let's not fall into the same category twice to be had by the so-called Native American that you claim took care of us, but they also put us out. And what are we going to gain? We can't gain anything but some land. And what else can you gain with your heritage when you have Africa, one of the wonders of the world with all the mineral resources? We are dual citizen. We will hold on to our African citizen. We will not give up our African citizenship, all in the name of being indigenous. What the hell can indigenous do for us now? Those Indians hate us more and do not want us in their camps, and sure are not giving up any land for us. I don't care how much you discover you had land here in this continent. Yes, as I researched, something told me in my gut, this is a plot. This is a scheme. This is a plot to get you to stay here on this continent and not go and support the other half of African that resides within you too. We cannot give up who we are. We must remain dual citizens. And we must remember that we have land over there in Africa and potential to build a life for ourselves. We must start all over and make a new beginning again, because they've taken too much away from us here and lied about the resources that they were going to give us here. So we must understand this is all a ploy to get you to come away from the thought of uniting with Africa. We must always think one Africa and one aim and one people. We're not a divided people. We cannot get anything for being indigenous. They're not going to help us, and they're not going to give us land, and they will not accept us in their tribes. You found out now that you're part Native American. So what? But you can ascertain a brotherhood in Africa, a land base, and minerals and resources, and you can help them to build. Is that what the Caucasians are afraid of? You going to align yourself with Africa? You know, Gaddafi wanted a one world. He wanted all of Africa to be united. And look what happened to him. They don't want Africa to be united. And they don't want you to take your $1 billion purchasing power and go to Africa to assist and to work and to build. This is a game that someone's playing on us. And you must do a reading on it to determine that this is a game. They're using all of the people to claim indigenous so that they can use you as agents to keep the Africans from going back to Africa to reunite with them. We must not fall into this trap. This is a trap. And I warn you, do not get on these airways telling everyone they're wrong for wanting to be a part of their natural selves as an African. You're not wrong if you want to align yourself with Africa. It's always been in our plan to reunite with Africa and make it a one world government where we can go there and exploit our land and our heritage and our resources. You cannot do that here on this land. No Native American is giving up anything to you. They're going to hold their ground, and they're not going to hand you over anything. You'll still be considered to them as their slave. and you will not be entitled to anything. You will die fighting, trying to get your establishment here on this side of Turtle Island. And there's many of us that are out there looking for our indigenous heritage. We know who we are over in Africa. We don't have to look that up. And we don't have to know which tribe we're from in Africa. All we know is we're part of the motherland. We're indigenous to Africa as well. But you cannot go around here working like an agent and demolishing other people from aligning themselves with Africa. When I was in Europe, I saw what the refugee people were going through, the ones from Africa. And I vowed to stay in one with them as they vowed to stay in one with me. We are one and united as an African people. We are not united as Native Americans. They do not want us in their tribes, and you're going to have to fight like hell to even get acknowledged to have quantum blood, Native American blood. And if you cannot prove it, you will not get recognized by the 5 civilized tribes. And what if you do get recognized? Where's the land? They're landlocked here. They don't have any land to give you. And they told you already that it's not possible to calculate how much money they owe you in reparation. So that's a farce too. They sent you on a wild goose chase again, looking for your heritage, trying to find out who you are. Well, then what's the prize once you find out, Dan? Dan, tell me, what is the prize? What is the prize after you find out, Phoenix? What is the prize that we're going to inherit once we discover it? All this research for nothing, because in the end, there is no prize. There is no getting your land back, and there is no repaying you for those years that they took you off the land. It's a farce, and they sent us on a wild goose chase. And they've made most of us come against each other. Now they want us to fight on these airways called the YouTube channel, because they're calling some people agents who are trying to stay close to their heritage as an African heritage. No, we won't give up Africa. And we're not going to walk away from our heritage a second time. There's nothing here for you to hand us over in way of our land. And when you start doing that, let me know about it. Call me. But they have offered some land in Africa. And I've seen some of my family members and friends to inherit the land and to build on it. What land are they offering here in America on this side of Turtle Island? Is it a ploy to get us fighting against each other and throwing away our Africanism and denouncing our African heritage, all in the name of another dream that we have of inheriting indigenous roots? You cannot inherit indigenous roots here. They're not going to let you, and they're going to tell you right up front that we're not giving up anything. And especially these Native Americans on this side of the island don't plan to give anything to Africans. Now, we are Africans, and let's not forget it. We are first Africans, and anything else in our blood is just an additive. But we can claim Africa by virtue of our burnt skin, our Nubian burnt skin. And we will never, never give up our Africanism. This we can count on. We don't have to go through all kinds of chambers and tests and regulations to prove that. They see that the inside of our guts is just like a native from Africa with the same floral, the exact same floral. And if there has to be any testing done, you can test our floral to see that it is the same and has been the same. Over 2,000 years, we have the same floral intestines that the Africans have. Now, how could we be so dumb and so stupid to let them fool us into aligning ourselves with these so-called tongue-tied Native Americans who have lied to us and who have taken our land and who have taken our namesake and claiming to be us? Now, if they're that crooked, how much do you think they'll do for us? Nothing. And we will be stuck here fighting with them when we can walk into the motherland and inherit our birthright, our land, and the millions of the raw material that are there. I'm going for the oak. I'm not going for the okie doke. I'm going for the box that is guaranteeing us our heritage. And I suggest you do too. There's a number of people getting all these accolades and high ratings for pushing this Aboriginal thing. And now you've never seen so many people get all these high ratings about their Aboriginal status. Why? Because the white man is pushing it. He's pushing it, making you think that you are on the right path. Well, I went so far to realize that I was going in circles and that there's nothing that I can gain from being an Aboriginal other than just knowing it. But I would love to know that I am still pure African blood and there's no mistakes about it, and that I can inherit the land that they've promised us there. They have not promised us anything here. I want you to know that, people, those of you who are preaching very hard. Dane, I know you're preaching very hard, son, but you got to look at the real picture of this thing. You are legitimate, and you got to understand that they're stealing and robbing you of your birthright again. We cannot let this happen a second time. And I'm speaking sincerely. The research that I did only showed me that I was an indigenous person, but there's another half of me that cries out for Mother Africa. I will not deny the other part of me that is connected to Mother Africa. We will always align ourselves with the struggle of Africa and still be a part of Africa. You cannot deny your mother while killing off your father. You must acknowledge both of them. And I'm saying this to somebody that needs to take a second look at all this research that we've done. Yes, where is it going to go to? What is it going to amount to? And how will it help us? Will we get in a better position to rule here in America? They're not going to let you rule here in America. The dollar bill is done with here. Nobody's going to even acknowledge the dollar bill. They need us here. The Caucasians need us blacks here, us indigenous people here to help the purchasing power of the dollar bill. Do you not know they're holding us here, hoping we don't leave? And that's why they allowed this whole gimmick of the Aboriginals to come about so that we can stay put here on this side of Turtle Island. But we must make it up in our mind. We have a home over in the motherland that's full of milk and honey, that has all of the resources that nobody's going to fight us on or deny us of. We have a home there, and Africa's willing to share it with us, and we're willing to come over and take up connection to all of their issues. We cannot be divided in our thoughts. Being Aboriginal does not carry a lot of weight and does not give you any benefits here. You still find yourself in court fighting the rest of your life to prove you're Aboriginal indigenous here. But it will be a lot easier gain to go across the water and stand flat-footed on our homeland because all originated there in Africa. We definitely know no white or black person in Africa. So we got this, and this is a scam. This is a scam to stop you from going forward and from making it all possible that you get your share of the lineage. We have land over there that they promised us. They promised us land, and I know they're giving it away because they've given it to my godfather, and he went there and built on it. I know it's there. We don't know what the hell is waiting for us here as Aborigines. They say a lot of stuff, and they lied a lot to the Indian, and they broke every treaty. So why in the hell are we going to believe this garbage now? They're going to break the treaties against us again. So why not start all over again in Africa and have access to our real land? So what? We got the copper tone skin. What are they paying us for it? Nothing. But when we go to Africa and we look just like our ancestors, they're offering us the world. And we must know this. And they have an army that can protect us. We have nothing here to protect us. You can say all you want that you're indigenous here, but where is your army to protect you from the next civil war? Because there's going to be war. Because some of you are going to wake up and realize that somebody sent you on a wild goose chase trying to manage your indigenous aborigines and heritage. Hell, how are you going to manage it when they got all of the keys to the lock and they're not letting you in? They're just letting you parade around and call yourself indigenous and think that you have an heir to something. You have not an heir to anything here, and they're not going to go in and write treaties to give you the right. Let's see if they will write the treaty. Now we need to start stepping up saying, where are the treaties you're going to write? Then why would we be wasting our time to establish our heritage as an indigenous people if there's no real treaties that are going to be written to give us back what was rightfully ours? If not, let's go to Africa and get what's there for us, because they're claiming that they have it for us and they promise to give it to us. And they are people of their word that they will give us the land. Now, I'm saying to you who are out there breaking down on people like myself who are standing up saying the truth and who don't want people speaking of Africa, you are a fool, because you are allowing them to let you get put in the vice a second time. Must we be dealt with a second time? You have to wake up and realize this is all a scam. YouTube would never allow you to be on here talking about your indigenous heritage and giving you accolades and pumping up your numbers unless they're using it for their own gain. They're using all of this propaganda for their own gain, for you to push people away from their African heritage and onto a scheme of being indigenous. They are using you to do that. And they would have used me too until I woke up out of my slumber and said, this is a game. Someone is using us to use the propaganda of the indigenous inheritance and aboriginal, and now we're running around like powwows and there are no benefits to gain. Yes, we have Native American blood in us. Now we found that out. Where are the benefits? Bring out the benefits if you say you got some for us, and stop letting us continue to research and say that you're inheritant of this and inheritant of that. Then bring out the goods, okay? But we still want to take that trip to Africa because we're still African descendants and we have rights there and benefits there that we can claim immediately. But I'm waiting for the first indigenous tribe, the 5 civilized tribes, to come out and to embrace those African and give them what you know is theirs. Yes, we could share both bloodlines, but the question of it is, which one are you going to inherit it and which one are you going to embrace? I'm going to embrace Mother Africa, because Mother Africa, we have more to gain there, and the ability to spread out and use our skills and our industrial powers to help build a nation. And that's what Gaddafi wanted, was one nation for all people. And that's what we've got to be about. Now, I'm a little upset because my journey in researching my indigenous aborigines and heritage didn't turn out like I thought. They wanted to claim my mother was a white person just so that she can get the indigenous so-called rations. But my mother was a black woman, and I'm not going to use these garbage lies to take us away from our motherland and our status as Africa. Then we have no heritage because we don't know anything about the tribal lifestyle. We don't understand. We did not grow up in the tribal lifestyle, some of us, and we still have yet to learn. But for many years in the Pan-Africa, they told us to study the greatness of Africa, and that's what we study. Are we giving that up? Are we now saying that we're not a part of that? Yes, we are. We're still a part of that great, vast country in their years when they were ruling. at a time when kings and queens rule. We're still a part of that. We cannot walk away from that. Marcus Garvey oftentimes told us that that was our inheritance. Are we denouncing Marcus Garvey as well? What in the hell is wrong with us? Are we walking away from what we know to be factual and that we can prove? We can prove that we're Africans by virtue of our Nubian skin. We can prove that that's our inheritance by virtue of the fact that they do want to align themselves with our struggle and they do want us to be a part of their struggle. We must not ever forget first Africa. And then we must remember abroad is where we have to attach ourselves. And we cannot be standing here saying that they're going to give us something here in this United States, because that's not always a definite. We've been struggling here in these United States for many, many centuries, and never have we gotten anything that we deserve. Every other people that came across those waters as refugees have gotten the peasants' share of what their inheritance are, but not us. And they're still not going to give it to us. They've been using us all this time to come here and work this continent and to be a part of this great industrial. Let's go and be a part of the great industrial in Africa. For once and for all, we can be a part of a continent that is not going to use us and come against us and try to kill us. Can you imagine all of the souls that have gone down, that have been killed in the masses? They've attempted to kill so many of us and to destroy so many of us and lying to us. They're not going to stop their lying. They're going to continue to lie to us. Just because we find out our indigenous heritage here, and that doesn't mean we're getting anything. And they're telling you that up front. They're telling you that you don't have to be in error of any monetary gain. So therefore, all this research is to naught. But we know if we go to Africa, there are plenty raw materials that awaits us there. And all of the raw minerals, and not to mention the land that vastly awaits us there. And we've got to come to our senses. We cannot let them use us to bring about a change in our mindset about who we are. We are Africans first, and anything else that we might be, indigenous or not, we are Africans first. The indigenous people are not inheriting the land here. They've been put in ghetto settings, and that's not what we're fighting for. We've already had the ghetto urban setting. We're not fighting for that. And when we go through all these changes to fight here on the reservation, so you won't live like kings and queens, and don't think you are, but you can live like a king or queen in Africa off a little bit of nothing. Just remember that. I lived in Europe and I lived around the Africans, and they told me about the lifestyle, and they worked with us, and they were our friends, and they've never been our enemies. So whoever's telling this lie about the Africans are our enemy is lying. The Africans are our friend, and they want to be our friends over in South Africa. And there's much we can gain from going to South Africa to assist and aid them. You might not want to stay there for a lifetime, but you can get your dual citizenship and go there and help, and then begin to build there. Do not think about building here, because nobody's going to let you build around the Caucasian, because they have already landlocked the land. You have no way of building here, no water to build your buildings and business around, because they are greedy. They're going to take all the land for themselves. So I don't care how much you find out that you're indigenous, they're not giving anything to you. They're not sharing anything with you. And they don't even consider you as a citizen. So you can't go to court against them in the court of law. Wake up, Black people. They sent us on a hoax. They sent us around in circles. And a lot of Black people's eyes are closed, and they lulled you to sleep, and you didn't even know you were asleep by telling your people, find out your indigenous heritage. You must find out your indigenous heritage. You're Aboriginal. So what? Now what do we do with it? You got to have some monetary gains that come out of it, some peace of mind that come out of it. But if they're still going to pull out the treaties and deny the treaties and fight you and kill you and send you off in caskets, then what does it all mean? Someone please tell me. doesn't mean very much of anything. It's a good warm feeling to know that you did once live with the Native American. It's a good warm feeling to know that you fought out there in the prairie to fight for land during the Trail of Tears. It's a good warm feeling. Now that we've had that good warm feeling, let's move on to real issues where we align ourselves with our brothers and sisters, because a real war is about to take place. And we have to be able to show who we have our alignments with. And we cannot be divided amongst who we share our alignments with. And I want you to know that my research is over for the indigenous people. I found out that, yes, some of us carry the indigenous blood in my family, but they're not giving us any land. They're not giving us any opportunities. So we must understand that we must move on now. We must move on because we have got greater fish to fry now. And we got real issues ahead of us. Now, all this nonsense on YouTube about searching your indigenous people, you need to come to your senses. You need to come to your senses and know that these people are not getting ready to give you any of their land, and you're not going to get any type of tribal nation. You might get a chance to get a card carrying membership and walk around saying you're from the indigenous people, but that's it. That's only for show. That's aesthetics. We're looking for something deeper than that. We're looking to be landowners and land managers, and you cannot do that here in this side of the United States of America. You must come to your senses. Someone put you on a path, and they used us, and they tried to keep your eyes closed, and they took some of the best of us and sent us out there researching and told everyone to deny them their African selves and that the Africans hated them. No, they don't hate us. And don't ever deny your African self. We are part of that continent and we're part of that nation. What we're not a part of is what is going on here in America, because even though we might have been here, we came from Africa. That was our original inheritance, and we cannot deny that. We are questionable as to what tribe, we're questionable as to what part of the land. And as I told you, that the Indians Bureau said most of what you heard about are myths, and they cleared up the myths, and they're right, they're myths, and they're leading you to a slaughter, like they have led all of the Indians to, and they've practically killed off most of them. Do we want to be killed off too? Now, I know they're getting ready to try to send the immigrants back to where they belong, but if they send us back to Africa, we got to land there. We could inhabit there. So that's not a bad thing. And in essence, it might be the right thing to do so that we can start all over and make a new beginning again. That's right. But most of you know that I sincerely wanted to know who I was, and as an indigenous person, I found out who I was. And now it is clear with me that even with that title, we're going nowhere and we're doing nothing, and there are no benefits to be had. And if you're going to wait on them for the rest of your life, you're going to be waiting like you did for your reparation. And I refuse to be waiting on reparation when they got land like milk and honey in Africa waiting for us. And I say, on to Africa. This journey is over. Thank you.